Good morning. I'm going to make this video old-fashioned way, the way I've been doing it for a while, because I had some problems trying to do it up at the screen yesterday. So, bell ringer, if John Q. Aggie hits 38 singles, 20 doubles, 18 triples, and 25 home runs in 280 at-bats, what is his slugging average? Okay, let's remind ourselves from the lesson on Monday. Slugging average is simply the number of bases earned over the total at-bats. So with 38 singles, we know that a single earns 1 base, a double earns 2, triple 3, and home run 4. So 38 singles is 38 bases earned, plus the 20 doubles. That's 2 bases per double. That's 40 more doubles. That's 78 total bases. 18 triples at 3 bases per triple. That's 54 more. So 78 and 54, that's 132. 25 home runs, 4 bases per home run. That's another 100. So it's 232 divided by 280, and that nets us with slugging average of 829. Non-slugging average, we always give it as a listing as just a number, 829. Even though it is a decimal, it's 0.829. It's 829 out of 1,000. So for every 1,000 at-bats, they're going to hit 829. They're going to get 829 bases. So that's what that means. All right. Let's talk about good things. Yesterday we talked about how Coach Ezar was voted as Texas 5A Coach of the Week, and that's a great honor. Hey, Rudder's on the rise, y'all. Hashtag RLTW. Quarterback ratings. Speaking of football, today's lesson is on quarterback ratings. The National Football League currently rates quarterbacks for statistical purposes against a fixed performance standard based on the statistical achievements of all qualified pro passers since 1960. The system they use allows passing performance to be compared from one season to the next. Not only that, it allows you to compare quarterbacks to quarterbacks, careers to careers, game to game. It's very versatile. So the categories are used to compute quarterback rating are the percent of completions per attempt. That's the number of completions divided by the number of attempts in percentage form. Another category is the percentage of touchdown passes per attempt. It's calculated the same way the completions are. Touchdowns divided by total attempts in percentage form. Percent interception, same thing, interception divided by attempt in percentage form. And average yards gained per attempt is just the total yards divided by the attempts. Notice we don't change that to percentage form. It's just the way you put it into the formula. And if you look closely, the ones that require you to change them in the percentage to put them into the formula have a percent sign in front of the variable. Yard does not. This link right here will take you to where that quarterback rating information comes from. Now, the following is the formula for compiling the quarterback rating. And I've mentioned this in class when I did the lecture that this is something you need to either memorize or write down on a cheat sheet. So, of course, I provide the ability to use a cheat sheet on your tests. So the quarterback rating is in the numerator, 25 plus 10 times the percentage of completions, plus 40 times the percentage of touchdowns, minus 50 times the percentage of interceptions, plus 50 times the yards, the average yards per attempt. And that whole sum is divided by 12. I mentioned the best practice when you're doing this, I would suggest you do the whole numerator and calculate it completely out before you divide by 12, because you run the risk of not using the correct order of operations on your calculator, and you end up dividing the 12 just into the last portion, and that'll get you a wrong answer. And try to seek to avoid that. All right, so the first 2 games of 2008, season, Dallas Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo completed 45 passes in 62 attempts for a total of 632 yards with 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So we're going to verify Tony Romo's quarterback rating for those games is approximately 113. We're going to round each value to the nearest 10th. So let's look at it. The percentage of completions per attempt is the 45 divided by 62. Now, it actually comes out to 0.726, but we're changing it to percentage form, so that just means you move the decimal twice to the right. Same thing with the percentage of touchdowns passes per attempt is 4 divided by 62. I had 4 touchdowns. You're going to divide by the attempts, 62. That's 0.065. We'll change that to 6.5%. Interceptions per attempt, that's 2 interceptions divided by the 62 attempts. That's 0.032. We'll change it to percent, make it 3.2%. Average yards gained per attempt is 632 divided by 62, or 10.2 yards per attempt. And that's pretty phenomenal right there. So let's look. Notice that there's a parentheses right here at the beginning of the numerator, and there's an extra one right here at the end of the numerator. So we're going to put all of this together. I don't show any of the calculations here on the computer screen, but as you can see, we do get the answer that is close to 113. Also notice that all of these percentage completions, percentage interception, or touchdowns, percentage interceptions, and the yards averaged are to the first tenth, because it asks for us to round the value to the nearest tenth. And the answer is rounded to the nearest tenth also, which that answer, 113.4, does get us approximately around 113 quarterback rating. Now, Tony Romo was good, but let's talk about a great quarterback. Steve Young. In 2009, he still had the highest career quarterback rating in the NFL history, completing 2,059 passes in 3,192 attempts, total of 25,479 yards with 174 touchdowns and 85 interceptions. We're supposed to find Young's career quarterback rating. Like we did for Tony Romo, we're going to look at it. 2,059 divided by 3,192 is 64.5%. Touchdown passes per attempt, 174 minus 3,192, that's 5.5. Percentage of interceptions per attempt, 85 divided by 3,192 is 2.7%. Average yards gained per attempt, 25,479 divided by 3,192 is 8 yards per chuck. Every time he tossed the ball, he gained an average of 8 yards. That's phenomenal. I mean, we're going to look back. Let's go back and look at Tony Romo's numbers, 72.6. We had 113, but you have to understand that's one game. This is an entire career. A quarterback rating of 96.3 is just absolutely phenomenal. Let's talk about the actual formula that the people in NFL actually use. It is subject to conditions or limits represented below, where it is understood that each item in brackets, all 4 items in brackets, the one under completions, touchdowns, interceptions, and yards per attempt, is truncated to be no smaller than 0, but no larger than 475 divided by 3, or a 158.3. The rating is rounded to the nearest tenth, and these truncated values mean there's a minimum and maximum value for each component of the rating. So, for example, looking at this one right here, this touchdown percentage, 10 times the percentage of TD over 3 is less than or equal to 475 over 12. If that's true, then 475 times 3, because we're cross-multiplying, we're multiplying both sides by 3, and divided by 10 and 12 nets you 11.875%. So we know that the limit on that side is 11.875%. And the limit on the left side is going to be 0. Obviously, 0 TDs nets you 0 added to your score. We're going to show that 30% is less than the percentage of completion or equal to, and that is, or greater, yeah, and then it's less than or equal to 77.5%. So we're talking about right here. Is that right? Yeah, completions. That's correct. 5/6 percentage of comp minus 30 is equal to is greater than or equal to 0 or is less than or equal to, let's see, what did it say, 77.5. So this is how we do it. Obviously, 5/6% comp minus 30 is going to be less than 0. The 5/6 cancels out because if you multiply by the reciprocal, 6/5, you're going to multiply both sides. You get 1 times the comp percent comp completions minus 30, less than or equal to 0 times 5/6 or 6/5. So you end up with this answer: percent of completions minus 30 is less than or equal to 0. So if we add 30 to both sides, that means the percentage of completions greater than or equal to 30. So we've proven this portion of it. Now we have to look at the other portion. 475 divided by 12. 5/6 multiplied by 6/5. 6/5, 6 times 12 is 72 divided by 5 times 475. Nets you 77.5%. So we've proven that one. How about C and D when we're talking about the yards? Find the values of C and D. Okay, same thing. 25/6 times the yards minus 3 is less than or equal to 475 twelfths, which is also greater than or equal to 0. We're going to solve the inequality for a yard. It produces these answers. C equals 3, because obviously we're going to multiply by 6/25. Both sides, we just have to add 3 on that one to both sides until we get 3 is less than or equal to C. So C is 3.0. This portion right here, when set to 0, all you end up, the 25 and the 6 will actually cancel out because when you multiply by the reciprocal, you're multiplying the other side by 0. So you end up with yard minus 3 is greater than or equal to 0. And then you're going to add 3, so yard is greater than or equal to 3. So that's C. Yard is greater than or equal to C, then C equals 3. Same thing here. 25/6 times yard minus 3 is less than or equal to 475/12. And that nets us at 12.5. So anywhere between 3 and 12.5. Now, I want you to look at this for a second. What kind of quarterback would play in the NFL if his percentage of completion was less than 30%? Probably not very many, right? And 77%. If he got up that high, that means every time he throws a ball, 7.7 times out of 10, he'd throw a touchdown. That's just, or a completion. That's not possible. Same thing here. If he threw the ball, every time he threw the ball, he got 12.5 on average yards. He's a god. There's no way that can happen. And if he threw less than 3 yards per attempt, he probably should be playing in the NFL. Interceptions, same thing. Notice the answer here, 0 is the answer on one side. E is 9.5. That's just some minor calculations we're doing, algebraic calculations. Again, think of it this way. If a quarterback threw 9.5 throws to the opponent out of 100, he probably shouldn't be playing in the NFL. Sure, the coaching staff and specifically the color commentators on ESPN probably pointing this out. Now I'm going to go out of my way and show you this video of, it's not Lawrence Thomas, it's Lawrence Taylor versus Joe Theismann. I think it's important to understand that no matter how good the quarterback is, no matter what his quarterback rating is, it's not going to stop a linebacker from punishing a quarterback for being a quarterback, okay? So this is a very graphic video. I'm going to let you watch it. It's pretty scary. Just pay attention. Stupid videos. Always have a advertisement.
Lawrence is just like going crazy. He's screaming both sidelines, get somebody out here, get somebody out here. And by the time the players wander out in the field and they see what's going on,
I don't know if you can see this, but Lawrence Taylor is actually crying right there. He realizes how injured that Joe Theismann is. You'll see what happens here in a second.
On the field, but I will tell you.
Let me warn you now, if you're not really good with graphic images, you might want to go ahead and turn this off because it's pretty graphic. It's an injury that played and was broadcast live on national television on a Monday Night Football game. Playoffs, Redskins versus the Giants back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Can't remember exactly when, but it's pretty gruesome.
Tell you this, I remember everything that happened that night. I remember Bubba Tyer coming out and getting right here in my left ear. I remember telling Bubba, do me a favor, please call my mom, tell her I'm okay.
It's Taylor over Carson, slamming, and you see the right knee, the right foot.
All right, see that leg? That's not a knee. Lawrence Taylor fell on his leg, and the full weight of his leg broke Joe Theismann's leg. And they broadcast that in slow-mo probably 50 times that night. And, of course, all the players jumped on top of it. So my point here is that no matter how good the quarterback is, and Joe Theismann was a very good quarterback, anything can end your career. So keep that in mind if you're planning on being in the NFL. So anyway, be blessed, be a blessing. Be sure to do the assignment in the Google Classroom.